Back in 1988, the world was a very different place. The Iron Curtain was still drawn, and in the Soviet Union, teams from what is now Russia and Ukraine vied for supremacy, with the giants of Moscow often ceding to Dynamo Kiev, the most successful club of the era. But in 1988, the champions were none of the big clubs. It was a team wearing red shirts, going by the name of Dnieper, and they came from the city of Dnipropetrovsk. Whilst much has changed in 21 years, such as the demise of the Soviet Union, there are still many similarities. The team, now in blue and known as DNIPRO, are one of just 5 to have competed in Ukraine's Premier League since its inception and are regulars in the top 4. But despite this record, they've yet to win a league title since that triumph of 1988. Their coach today is Vladimir Besanov.
This football club has got a great history. In the past, it was one of the biggest teams in the Soviet Union and even won the league. But after the collapse of the USSR, the club went downhill a bit, as there was no management in place. There was no one to turn to in case of trouble, and there was no real funding anymore.
The team was in its prime in the 80s and secured their first title in 83. Having slumped to 11th only 3 years later, something had to be done. Dnieper experimented with a professional structure unique in Soviet times, and a new coach was called in. Evgeny Kucherevsky immediately guided them to second place before masterminding that 88 league title. The following year, Dnieper finished runners-up and lifted their first and only Soviet Cup. Kucherevsky brought the best out of his players, not least Yevgen Shakov. He was the top scorer of that squad, finding the net 15 times as they finished 3 points ahead of Dynamo Kiev. Today, he's the club's assistant coach.
He was one of the best, and he was excellent at motivating players. He managed to mould everyone together, so when he gave us our instructions, it was easy to get the best results out of us. It wasn't about winning as such, it was about working hard for each other, and through that came the results.
When the team was at its peak, the city was closed to anyone outside of the Soviet Union. This was because Dnipropetrovsk was a key centre for the nuclear arms and space industries, with the factories from which the team was formed back in 1918 dominating working life. Ukraine has now celebrated 17 years as an independent state, and whilst the city has clearly grown, industry still makes up the majority of job opportunities, and many sites are still the same. But the city's infrastructure is set for major improvements and many new visitors, as Ukraine, and Dnipropetrovsk in particular, is gearing up to co-host Euro 2012 with Poland. One item already ticked off the list is the stadium. The city's only hosted one international match in its history, but come June 3 years hence, the 30,000 capacity Dnipro Arena is due to stage a number of group matches. Preparations for Euro 2012 have come in for criticism, not least from UEFA themselves, but the city is confident it, like the rest of the country, will be ready. Andrei Rusol is a Ukrainian international and the club's captain.
I do think that our town is in a position to host a tournament such as the European Championship. Perhaps not today, but in the near future there's going to be a massive amount of work done for it. We have the major infrastructures necessary for the hosting of such a tournament already in place. We have the new stadium, a new airport has been built, and the town is developing very fast. That's why I think in the very near future we'll be ready to host the tournament.
Ukrainian club football is also improving fast. The league now boasts teams that can comfortably hold their own on the European stage. Dynamo Kiev and Shakhtar Donetsk were drawn together in an all-Ukrainian UEFA Cup semi-final, whilst Metalist Kharkiv also made it to that tournament's last 16. With Russia having produced 2 of the UEFA Cup's last 4 winners, it seems teams from the former Soviet Union are again forces to be reckoned with. Against that background, it's now up to Besanov to bring Dnipro back to their former level. Maxim Kalinichenko is a Ukrainian international who spent the previous 8 seasons in Russia.
There are comparisons that can be drawn between the two leagues. Perhaps at the moment the Ukrainian league is at a slightly lower level than the Russian league, as Russian football has developed massively in terms of hiring world-class coaches and quality players. But Ukraine is not far off. We can use the progress of Russia as a benchmark, and I think we definitely have the potential to develop in exactly the same way.
The facilities available to Dnipro's players also give them every opportunity to develop further and to take their game to the next level, if they want to.
This is the gymnasium, and this is the boxing bag. To be honest, I don't really know how to use much of this equipment. It's got everything you can imagine, but people will be a bit surprised to see me in here. I'm not really much of a gymnasium person, and it's only the second time I've actually visited this place. But maybe thanks to FIFA Football Mundial, I'll start becoming a regular here. I think this is how you use it, but I'm not sure.
As you can see, this is the swimming pool area, which I'm really pleased we now have. It's great to use after games to relax, or also as part of physio treatments if you pick up an injury. There aren't many excuses for us not to be in great physical shape here. Players share bungalows like this when we're based here for our training camp.
Life's certainly an improvement on 1988. As the fans arrive along Kucherevsky Boulevard, named after the legendary coach who tragically died in a car accident 3 years ago, fans hope that the club's infrastructure can be the catalyst for a return to the top of the league. This, of course, will be far from easy. Since 1993, only Dinamo or Shakhtar have emerged as champions, and it may take a few years before any rival emerges to challenge those two. Not every club has decent facilities. When we visited, Dnipro's opponents were Arsenal Kiev, a team without a stadium and with a squad reliant on players acquired through loan deals. But with the dawn of the new Premier League last season, which will generate more revenue for clubs than the original government-subsidised structure, and with the European Championship around the corner, teams throughout Ukraine should start to benefit. As one of Ukraine's most successful clubs, anything that can help Dnipropetrovsk once again challenge for the league title is very welcome. The club has the infrastructure, the talent and the passion to return to the top. Now it's time for the results to emerge. And who knows where they'll be once 20 more years have passed.